Good morning, y'all. It is currently 11:43, December 28th, 2024, and I'd like to tell y'all a little story about the dream that I just woke up from. I went to bed at like 1, around 1:30ish a.m. I tried to stay up later to try to get myself back on my second shift schedule, but I couldn't do it. I was so freaking exhausted yesterday. Not as bad as I was the day before, but I'm starting to get sick. I don't know if you can hear it in my throat or hear it in my sniffles, but I've got a cough drop in right now. I started getting a sore throat yesterday, and I was just really tired, so I went to bed around 1 o'clock-ish. And I woke up earlier in the morning, and I couldn't remember my dream. And I wish I would have paid attention to what time I woke up, but I fell back asleep, and then I had this dream that I just had. It was another lucid dream, 3-day streak. It didn't start out lucid, though. The first thing that I remember is I'm walking out of my high school, and I'm talking to my old science teacher, Mr. Westbrook. And as we are leaving, as we were leaving, we were talking about something that was coming up in his life that he was really excited about. I assume we're walking towards his car, by the way, because he's leaving and we're like walking into the parking lot. So I'm trying to ask him about what he has going on because it seems important to him, and he doesn't want to tell me because it's a secret. And I ask him, well, is it like a speech or like some kind of event or something? And he's like, well, if you can keep it a secret, I'll tell you. And I said, oh, of course. Why would I tell anybody? Why would I tell anybody? So he tells me that Oprah is coming to town. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, that's cool and all, but like, why is that so important to you? And I also think to ask him, like, she's coming to this like county coming to town, or are you like traveling to see her? I didn't ask him that, but I thought about it. So when I asked him why it was so important to him, he starts like going into his like backstory. He's like, well, I gotta tell you a bit of the backstory before I tell you why Oprah is so important to me. And he starts like going into his life story. I don't remember like any of the details. I just remember at one point it goes from us standing in a parking lot and I'm looking at him, and then one moment we're in the parking lot, the next moment he's like sitting. I don't think it was that quick of a transition. That's just the next thing I remember is he's sitting in a chair. It's like some kind of like leather, like fancy chillin' chair, and he's got like this backdrop behind him. It's like a documentary. There's like a camera set up and it's like a documentary. And I realized that I'm watching a YouTube video. I wasn't consciously thinking about it at the time, but I am laying in bed looking at my phone watching this YouTube video. And he mentions that Oprah inspired him to make his first settlement that he called Oompaville. And so I guess the backstory is that this guy like made settlements or whatever. And I was like, oh, so that's where Oompaville got his name. And this is an Oompaville video right now. And I look down, because I'm watching YouTube on my phone, I look down at the profile Like, and you can look at it right now on the YouTube if you're on your phone, and it says like the profile with the picture and the name and how many subscribers or whatever. And I realized that it doesn't say Oompaville. It says like taking the L or taking L's or something like that. And the profile picture is different. And I'm like upset. I'm like, why Oompaville changed his name? Like, what the heck? He is taking the L because he freaking changed his name. And that's kind of what triggered my lucidity, because I was thinking, like, this doesn't make any sense. So I go to try to pinch my nose and breathe through it, but it feels really weird. Like, I do pinch my nose, I guess, and I breathe through it, but it's like I wasn't convinced that I actually pinched my nose. The best way that I can think to describe it is it kind of felt like my whole body wasn't really there. Like it wasn't generated by the simulation yet. So I assume I turned off my phone. At this point, it might have ceased to exist. I sit up out of bed, and I get up and I'm standing there, and I'm feeling kind of wobbly. Like it's like, oh, whoa. You know how when you stand up too fast and your vision like kind of blacks out and you get lightheaded? It was kind of like that. And my left leg felt like it had fallen asleep and it was waking up. It wasn't like super prickly, but it was like I could barely feel it. And then I do breathe through my pinched nose, and that just confirms that I am lucid in a dream. And I just start walking because I have a hard time of standing still in a lucid dream. Like, I don't know if I'm unconsciously afraid that I'm just going to wake up if I just stand still, but I feel like I've always got to be moving, doing something. So even though I'm not steady on my feet, I start walking anyway. And I'm in my papa's house, by the way. This is, I woke up in like my childhood bedroom. This used to be my older brother's bedroom, but we've all kind of like moved around in different bedrooms. So I did live in this bedroom at this point, but I think of it as my brother's bedroom. So even though I'm kind of like wobbly on my feet and my left leg feels like it's fallen asleep, I think to myself, it'll get better as I'm walking. So I walk out the door and I start walking down the hallway into the living room. And I'm trying to remember, it's like a lot emptier than the living room really is. I know there was a chair in like the far back corner, and I think there was some other furniture that I don't remember exactly. So I walk over to that chair and sit down, because at this point I'm like in danger of falling over. So I sit down, I take some breathers, my head, I like get some breath to my oxygen to my brain or whatever, and like I'm not lightheaded anymore. I feel better. So then I stand up and I can walk just fine now. So I go straight from, like, I can't really describe it. I went through the hallway and into the like back corner of the room was where the chair was, and then straight from the chair is where the dining room is, and there's like this sliding door into the sunroom, and then to the right is the kitchen. So here's the kitchen, here's the sunroom. At the kitchen, the door, like to the right of the door of the kitchen, that's where the refrigerator was in my dream. So I walked straight from the chair to the refrigerator, and I notice that I can hear my mom's voice in the room to the left of me, which I think is the kitchen. So, and she's talking to someone else. I think it's another woman, because I hear two women's voices. One of them is my mom, and they're talking to each other. I wasn't really paying attention to what they were saying, but I just remember thinking that I don't want them to see me because I don't feel like trying to talk to dream characters right now. So I open the fridge and I grab a pitcher of lemonade. And the pitcher's like a quarter of the way full. And I drink some of the lemonade, and it actually tasted really good. It tasted like lemonade. And as I'm drinking it, I realize that I don't need to like tip it back all the way to get the lemonade to my mouth. I'm tipping it a little bit, and the lemonade is like flowing up the pitcher into my mouth, like I'm sucking it up into my mouth. So I'm kind of like amazed by that. I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool. So I go to try to drink it without tipping it at all, and then that's when I woke up. So the lucid part of the dream didn't last very long. It probably took me longer to explain it than the dream actually lasted, but I take it. 3 lucid dreams in a row. I think that's about all. Good night and sweet dreams.